Welcome back, 93.7 The Ticket. We are back for another Niko and I podcast. The current time of day is 8 p.m. inside of Memorial Stadium, and I have a Nebraska volleyball superstar for you guys here tonight. Her name is LANEY CHOBOY. LANEY, how are you feeling about being on the show tonight?
I'm excited.
LANEY is excited to be on the Niko and I podcast. So, LANEY, go ahead and tell the people, why did you decide to come to the University of Nebraska?
I was originally committed to Minnesota, but due to a coaching change, I decommitted and had to decide between two schools. It was here in in Texas, and Minnesota, I guess. But yeah, and I chose to come here because the team chemistry, the culture here. Obviously, I wanted to win, and I could have done that at either program, but I wanted to compete, and I just think that where I want to go, I think that Nebraska will lead me there.
Funny story, me and LANEY actually met within her first 2 or 3 weeks being here, and we were friends right away. And one of the things that I felt connected us as friends is from the beginning. I asked her, why did you end up coming to the university? And she literally said, I could have went anywhere in the U.S., but I chose to come here and compete. And it's a very unique situation, too, because for any of my volleyball fans out there, whenever a school like this has a locked-in libero, it's very rare to see two liberos on the same team at this type of level. I mean, they're two of the top, in my opinion, the best two liberos inside of the NCAA right now are on the same exact team, which is very unique. It's a great situation. But her saying that I came here just to compete, I mean, I think that is just amazing, and that just shows what type of person the character she is. So, LANEY, you had a very unique high school career growing up. You were an All-American. You were killing it. You were on the oh my God, I think it was the PAC, CAC, All-American something game. I want you to go ahead and break down all of your accomplishments leading up before you got the Nebraska scholarship as a high schooler.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I would say freshman year of high school, I think it was, or sophomore year, I was on the USA U18 team, and we went to Worlds, and we placed third at Worlds. And then the 2 years later, because of COVID, we couldn't do the Pan Am Cup that year, so we made it the next year. So then I was on the Pan Am Cup team, U19, and we won gold there. And then, let's see, I was at the Under Armour games. My team lost in 5, unfortunately. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of AVCA rankings in high school and little stuff like that. But I would say that being here is one of my biggest accomplishments.
Keep the mic in your hand. So why? Why did you put yourself through everything? Did you outwork everybody, or were you just a natural growing up?
I would say volleyball was in my life since I was born. I was at tournaments as a baby running around with the volleyball, and my mom played in college. My sister played a little bit, so it's kind of just been in my blood. But I would say I definitely worked really hard, and I was in the gym a lot more than most people, and I was just always trying to do something to get better every single day, and I think that paid off.
It did. All of that work did pay off, and she is currently here killing it, and you were recently a part of a world record. Yeah. I was there in the stands, so she's going to go ahead and break down everything. I'd love to hear from your point of view. So this is your freshman year, kind of, you came last semester here, blah, 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 whatever. You're a half sophomore, half freshman, whatever you want to call it. So go ahead and tell me, what did it feel like walking out of the tunnels? Because from a fan's perspective and knowing you firsthand, it's I had goosebumps. I mean, seeing you guys walk outside the tunnel, the atmosphere, all the people inside of the stadium, it was just electric. So go ahead and just walk me through everything. The pregame, what it was like walking out, playing the game, and then the concert afterwards.
I would say that when I was choosing what school I wanted to come to, I was told that stadium match was going to happen, and I was actually one of the very first people to know, even their own team didn't know. So, yeah. So then when I got here, it was talked about and stuff, but I don't think that far out you can have a gauge of, how big it's actually going to be. So then when the day came and we're walking out in the tunnel and we can feel, literally feel the noise in our heart, it was just, shaking our bodies. We walked out, we looked up, and the fans were just everywhere. Everywhere you looked, they were just yes, bleeding red and a sea of red. And it was just a crazy experience. And then I just know that women's sport is growing so much. And to know that we set a women's record, not even the Olympics has that many people. So it's to know that women's sport is growing, especially in college, and volleyball in general is really special.
I mean, it was amazing. You even had Stephen A. Smith on SportsCenter talking about it. I mean, if that within itself doesn't tell you how big of an event it was. I mean, there were people all across the United States talking about that. I mean, it was much bigger than volleyball that day. It was just amazing for the school, for the community, for everything, for you guys, for how many people on your team? Is it 12, 13? 14 for all 14 girls, man. I mean, the atmosphere is amazing. What you guys bring to the university just as a culture and just like a winning record, I mean, it does a lot more than you guys just think. I know our football program isn't where it used to be, but we're still living through you guys. I mean, you guys are, just killing it. So that's amazing. And so, Laney, I don't think a lot of people get to know about your personal life or the inside, who Laney is. And if I can summarize it within one word, I just got to say hilarious. Laney is a very funny person. And I don't know if you try to be funny or if it's intentional, but generally it's always a fun time talking to you. You're always going to get a laugh out of her. A very goofy girl. If you're watching her on the court too, if you're watching her emotions or whatever she does after a play, she's always hyped. She's always energetic. She's the hype friend, and that's how I can describe her personality to be. So, Laney, what is the most, I'd say, difficult part of your day to day when you're going through being a collegiate athlete, a D1 athlete? What would you say is the most difficult part of your day?
I would say what's most difficult is like separating volleyball and life, because my coaches are a little bit worried that like I'm going to get burnt out because I put so much into it. So they want me to have something outside of volleyball, but it's so difficult for me. Like after practice, I want to come on, I want to watch film, and I want to talk about volleyball all the time. But I think being able to separate it, especially like if you have a bad day at practice, not letting it move on to the next day and like affect your personality, and just come in the next day happy and like ready to take on the next day, because it's hard when you have so much pressure put on you at this level. So being able to like separate that is definitely difficult.
I gotta say, I mean, you say that, or your coaches are worried that you are gonna get burnt out, but at the same time, too, it almost sounds like a coach's dream, like somebody who's gonna go home, get film, want to talk about volleyball, want to get better. I mean, it's a fine line between doing too much or being too passionate about it. But in my eyes, the way that I'm wired is that I see you as a very passionate person who wants to see your team be successful. And the only thing that's on your mind is just having a winning career and being probably one of the best volleyball players to come to Nebraska. Like I genuinely see that within your future and your mindset and your mentality. Can you go ahead and tell the people, how did you adapt that mentality? Because that's not something, or maybe it is something you were born with, but at the same time too, I feel like there had to be some type of life event to push you to want to be, this hungry, this drive for success that you had. Where did you get this?
I would say from a very young age, I started playing up by 4 years. I was on an 11s team when I was 7, and I just continued to like move up from there. And so I was hanging with my teammates, and they were 3-4 years older than me. So I think at that age, I was like, wow, like I could do something special with this. So from a very young age, I said that I wanted to play in the Olympics, and then I wanted to be in the USA pipeline. And so I've did that in high school, but now the next step is obviously like national teams and stuff. So I would say from a pretty young age, I realized, okay, like this is something that I was born to do, and like I want to make everyone that helped me along the way proud, and show them that they got me where I wanted to go.
Preach. That's insane. From 7 years old, already playing with 11-year-olds, and then by the time she was a freshman in high school, she was already just balling out, traveling across the world, going to Under Armour All-American games. That's impressive. So I know I kind of jumped from topic to topic, but your personal life, what, if you could describe, who you are as a person or how your friends and teammates see you, go ahead and tell us, what do you bring to the table in the locker room for the Nebraska volleyball team? I mean, you guys are a bunch of characters. I mean, the volleyball team is a very fun team. You're a very unique person. So go ahead and just break that down, like your personality and the dynamic that you bring to the team, to the culture.
I would definitely say that I'm just this energetic person, and that's what most people would say about me, is I just have a ton of energy. And then in the locker room, I would just say like before games and stuff, I have a lot to say, and like I've been a leader my whole life, and even though our team is so young this year, it doesn't feel like that, because our freshmen, like the rest of the team like lets our freshmen have a role, and I think that's super important in a really good team, is that everyone has a role on the team. So I would just say, people say that I have a lot of energy. I instill belief in people when like they might not believe in themselves, and I would say that every single freshman does something special to bring to the table, and then obviously we have our big older leaders, so that help out too.
Yeah. Hey, listen, age doesn't define how good of a leader you can be. If you have that mentality, if you are performing, if you're starting, if you're going out there and doing your job, I believe that you're leading by example. And so the words that come after that are people are only going to listen to you for as good as you perform, in my opinion, for what you're doing outside and on the court. And as you guys heard before, she's outside, she's studying film, she's passionate, she wants to be one of the best players to ever come through here. And so people are going to look up to her, people are going to respect her. The fans at home, they're going to be watching that, and they see that every single time she plays. So, Laney, go ahead and tell me, what about your day-to-day? I mean, before we mentioned that it is hard for you to kind of separate between volleyball and, your personal life. What does a day-to-day look like for you?
Is this when I have practice or when I don't?
Give us your craziest day of the week.
Okay, my craziest day of the week is probably I get up, and my class is not too early, so I get up around like 9, get to lift at 9:30. That's usually about 45 minutes, and then I will go to class at 11, and then that ends at 12:15. I'll go grab some lunch, and then I'll go straight to the gym. We either have film or pre-practice things that we have to do before we go in, and then we'll practice from 3 to 6. And then after that, we'll come home, come get dinner, and then try to do some schoolwork. Most of the time, I just fall asleep.
That is a packed schedule, especially being mid-season too. And for the record, also, I believe you're still 19, right?
I'm 18.
She's 18 years old, so technically she was supposed to be in high school last February, but she was already in college working, and that's how it is for most volleyball girls. If you're recruited that young, then you do come the second half of your senior year. And so was that difficult for you, having to leave prom and all of your friends back home to come here? I mean, you do know technically coming here was coming to paradise, but at the same time too, it's like a full-time job. I mean, you're traveling, you're doing all these different things. You have to balance schoolwork, life, everything. Was it hard leaving home?
I would say that I had been away from home so much in high school just with volleyball. Like, I really never spent a weekend at home. And I really didn't enjoy high school that much because, I just wasn't vibing with my school and, things like that. And I just wanted to do what I loved most and not do anything else. So I would say coming here was what I needed at that time. And I obviously am going to have my struggles being this far away from home, but it's definitely what I needed, and it got me ready for a season. And here we are.
Man, here we are. This podcast has been going great so far. So, Laney, thank you. I know it's been a busy day for you. You got a lot of things going on. But to go ahead and wrap up this podcast, do you mind sharing something special with all the fans out there and all your supporters? What is something that you do as a pregame ritual before every single thing? Do you have any, what is the word I'm looking for? I know, intuition, suspicions of, what is it called?
Wait.
It's
Wait, don't do that to me. Don't do that. Don't make me mess it up.
The word? Oh, you don't want to say it.
Wait.
It's superstitious. Yes, superstition. Yes, that's what it was. Thank you for helping me with that. Stitions. We're gonna call it stitions for this. Superstitions. Do you have any superstitions that you do before every single game? Is it a lucky pair of socks? Is it listen to a certain song? And then go ahead and tell us, do you get nervous before you play a game? When you're out there, you have confidence, you have energy, but going out there, do you get the same feeling no matter the opponent?
I would say I don't really have any superstitions. I don't have lucky hair. I don't have lucky anything that I wear. But I would say something I do before every game is just braid all my teammates' hair. I try to get ready pretty early so that I have time to do their hair. So that's fun. They always ask for some crazy things, so I get to try new things. And then, what did you say on the court?
It was when you're playing opponents, you get nervous.
Oh yeah. Okay, I actually don't usually get nervous. But for some reason, I actually was nervous to play Minnesota. Really? And I don't know if it was because I was committed there. I have, I don't know, I don't know what it was. But that was probably the first time in a really long time I've had butterflies before a game. Even before our stadium game, I was not really nervous. But for Minnesota, for some reason, I was a little bit nervous, which is so weird.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I know I did say I wanted to end it, but there's actually one more question I was thinking about. When you have a very unique, I'd say, style when you're playing the game. I know before we were out, we were talking about this. So one time after a track meet, Laney was like, I'm fasting. I bet I'm fasting. And you, I'm like, you're not fasting. What are you talking about? Bro, I raced her in a parking lot randomly. I think it was 10 or 15 meters. Bro, she beat me. Straight up. I'm an 800-meter runner, and she's a volleyball player. So I'm thinking, there's no way she can beat me. I'm a D1 athlete. Bro, she beat me. And I don't know if it has to do because she is was short, low to the ground, powerful. I don't know what the reason may have been, but she genuinely beat me. And so something I was talking to her about, I don't know if you guys have seen the viral clip, I'll put it up right here, is that she it was like a saving play where she ended up diving, and she like the way that she ran so low to the ground, and her body movements were so unique. And so I asked her, I was like, Laney, like, how did you learn how to do that? And you just kind of laughed. I'm like, what are you talking about? I do that every single day. So one thing I wonder is, like, do you practice plays like those? Do you like dream about plays like those, or do those just kind of happen on the fly?
Honestly, I think that those type of plays are really a mentality thing. Like, okay, I am not letting any ball touch the ground. So it's like, I'm going to do what I can to get it up. So I would say that play at Stanford was really tough because I had to track it over my shoulder, and I lost it for a second, and I got a little bit scared, but I was like, I know it's far, so I'm just going to start sprinting. So then I found it, whatever, and I got it. But I just think that's more of a mentality. Like, I want my teammates to succeed, and I want my team to succeed. So it's like, I'm going to keep this ball on the floor so that they can get a kill for our team. So I don't know. I think in practice we're actually not allowed to chase balls like that down. He doesn't let us because he'll blow the whistle so that we don't get hurt. Like, I'm known for like running into things. I run into walls, poles, stuff like that, trying to get balls. But like, I never really get hurt. Like, I see my surroundings and I just dive around it, you know. But he doesn't let us chase it down. So I would say you just got to go run for it. Give some effort.
It's a mentality thing. I think that's the quote of the podcast. So, Laney, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. This was the Niko at Night podcast with Laney CHOBOY. We're going to wish her luck throughout the season for a national championship is what we're hoping for. Adios.
Adios.